10 early horror novels with intriguing backstories. Welcome to Next Chapter Audio. In today's episode, we're exploring the chilling origins of some of the earliest horror novels that helped shape the genre we know and love. From eerie prophecies to the dark secrets of their creators, these stories terrified readers and reflect the fascinating lives of their authors. Join us as we uncover the backstories behind 10 early horror novels, including timeless classics that have left a lasting mark on literature. So settle in, dim the lights, and let's dive into the haunting world of early horror. Number 10. The Castle of Otranto, 1764. Horace Walpole, the 4th Earl of Orford, is remembered not for his political legacy, but for his unusual contributions to literature and architecture. His 1764 novel, The Castle of Otranto, is widely regarded as the first true horror novel, setting the foundation for a genre that would captivate readers for centuries to come. The story centers on Manfred, the lord of a mysterious castle, as he attempts to avert an ancient prophecy by marrying Isabella, the betrothed of his deceased son. This chilling tale of haunted halls, foreboding prophecies, and unsettling apparitions drew inspiration from folklore and writers like Shakespeare. Walpole's novel, with its eerie and dramatic atmosphere, quickly established a new style, influencing many writers who came after him, including Matthew Gregory Lewis, author of The Monk. Interestingly, The Castle of Otranto not only inspired its readers, but also its author. Walpole became so enamored with the Gothic themes he had created that he spent 27 years constructing his own haunted castle, Strawberry Hill House, in Twickenham. This Gothic revival villa became a living embodiment of his novel, blending elements of castles, cathedrals, and even tombs at Westminster Abbey. The house still stands today, as both a testament to Walpole's imagination and a physical reflection of the novel that established horror as a genre. Stay tuned as we continue our journey through the eerie beginnings of horror literature with 9 more tales that will haunt you long after the episode ends. Number 9. The History of the Caliph Vathek, 1786. During the 18th century, Western audiences were fascinated by Asian and Middle Eastern cultures, and William Beckford's The History of the Caliph Vathek capitalized on this curiosity. Published in 1786, the novel blended Gothic horror with the exotic elements that captivated European readers. The story follows Vathek, an ambitious caliph in pursuit of forbidden knowledge and supernatural power. His journey leads him to encounters with a jinn, a demon, and even mysterious eunuchs, weaving a tapestry of Gothic terror set against the rich backdrop of Samarra, an ancient city steeped in mysticism. Beckford himself was as extravagant as the novel's setting. Known for his lavish lifestyle, he celebrated his coming of age at Fonthill Abbey, his sprawling estate, with a 3-day fete that included elaborate decorations and scenery designed by the painter Philip James Loutherbourg. Beckford's letters describe how he transformed his rooms into a fairy world of strangeness and novelty, a spectacle so vivid that it reportedly inspired him to complete the novel in just 3 days. Vathek introduced readers to a unique blend of Gothic elements and the cultural allure of the East, appealing to a fascination that would continue well into the Romantic period. Beckford's opulent style and imagination created a story that not only entertained but also highlighted the Western fascination with distant lands, lending a fantastical yet eerie quality to the early horror genre. Number 8. Daphne du Maurier, Rebecca, 1938. Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca is more than a tale of romance and mystery. It's a deeply psychological story woven with personal influences from du Maurier's own life. The novel follows a young, unnamed narrator who marries Maxime de Winter and moves to his grand estate, Manderley, only to find herself living in the shadow of his deceased first wife, Rebecca. Du Maurier's chilling portrayal of jealousy, desire, and identity strikes a unique balance between Gothic horror and psychological thriller, and some of the characters in Rebecca were inspired by real people she knew. Maxime de Winter's character draws from du Maurier's husband, Sir Frederick Boy Browning. Their engagement was brief, much like that of Maxim and the first Mrs. de Winter. Du Maurier's own marital experiences influenced the novel's central theme of jealousy, particularly after discovering love letters from Browning's former fiancé, Jan Ricardo. These revelations fed into the story's undercurrent of romantic rivalry and obsession, lending authenticity to the novel's emotionally fraught atmosphere. Du Du Maurier's creation of Mrs. Danvers, the sinister housekeeper at Manderley, was inspired by a tall, dark housekeeper she encountered at Milton House, whose unsettling presence left a lasting impression on the author. Furthermore, the narrator's almost obsessive fascination with Rebecca reflects Du Maurier's own complex sexuality and her attraction to women, which emerged in her extramarital relationships with actress Gertrude Lawrence and others. While Rebecca is often read as a mysterious love story, Du Maurier intended it as a study in jealousy, a theme that haunts the novel, with Mrs. Danvers consumed by jealousy over Rebecca, and the narrator plagued by envy of Rebecca's enduring influence. This ghost of Rebecca permeates the novel, haunting every page with the specter of jealousy rather than a literal ghost. Number 7. Oscar Wilde, The Picture of Dorian Gray, 1891. Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray stands as a dark meditation on vanity, moral corruption, and the allure of eternal youth. Published in 1891, the novel tells the story of Dorian Gray, a young man who makes a Faustian bargain that allows his portrait to bear the consequences of his sins, while he himself remains forever young and beautiful. Wilde's only novel, Dorian Gray, became notorious for its controversial themes, which critics quickly condemned as scandalous and morally dangerous. While Wilde had originally included even more explicit allusions to Dorian's attraction to his friend, Lord Henry Wotton, he removed some of the more daring content to avoid excessive public outrage. Nonetheless, the novel hints at Dorian's relationship with Lord Henry, as well as the painter Basil Hallward, who is deeply enamored with him. These relationships reflect Wilde's own complicated and closeted life as a gay man in Victorian England, where such themes were considered taboo. Contemporary critics harshly criticized the novel, with some labeling it a poisonous book that could corrupt young minds, adding that it seemed designed for outlawed noblemen and perverted telegraph boys, who were rumored to supplement their income by providing after-hour services to aristocrats. Despite, or perhaps because of, the controversy, Wilde's novel has endured as a Gothic classic, illustrating the dangers of unchecked hedonism and exploring Wilde's own experiences with desire, identity, and the cost of living a double life. The Picture of Dorian Gray invites readers into a world where the boundaries between beauty and corruption blur, making it a haunting exploration of Wilde's most personal themes. Number 6. Robert Louis Stevenson, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, 1886. Robert Louis Stevenson's The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is a chilling exploration of the duality of human nature, and its inspiration came from a real-life figure who lived a double life in 18th century Edinburgh. William Brodie, a respectable craftsman known as Deacon Brodie, appeared to lead an upright life, holding a respected position as the president of a local guild and even helping to govern the city. However, Brodie harbored a dark secret. He was also a thief, using his locksmithing skills to rob Edinburgh's wealthy citizens, including pulling off a notorious heist of $800 from a bank in 1768. Brodie's dual existence as both a public official and a criminal resonated deeply with Stevenson, who was fascinated by the idea of hidden darkness lurking beneath a veneer of respectability. This concept became the foundation for Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, in which Dr. Henry Jekyll, a well-regarded scientist, experiments with a potion that transforms him into Edward Hyde, a sinister alter ego who embodies his most wicked impulses. The novel's exploration of the conflict between good and evil within a single person captured the imaginations of readers and critics alike, raising questions about the nature of identity and the masks people wear to hide their true selves. Stevenson's story became an instant classic, drawing readers into a nightmarish world where the boundary between the respectable and the monstrous is terrifyingly thin. Stay tuned as we continue our journey through the early horror novels that probe the darkest corners of human nature and reflect the lives of their creators. Number 5. Wilkie Collins, The Woman in White, 1860. The image of a woman dressed in white, mysterious and ambiguous, has long fascinated artists and writers alike. For novelist Wilkie Collins, this haunting figure became the inspiration for The Woman in White, his 1860 novel that helped establish the genre of sensation fiction. This new type of narrative captivated Victorian readers with its suspenseful, scandalous plots filled with themes of intrigue, jealousy, and betrayal, all wrapped in a Gothic atmosphere. Collins's Woman in White Anne Catherick, is a central character shrouded in mystery, her appearance signaling a world of secrets and deception. Inspired by the works of painters like James McNeill Whistler, who depicted his lover Joanna Heffernan in a flowing white gown, Collins uses the character of Anne to explore themes of identity, madness, and the supernatural. The ethereal white dress hints at innocence, while the darkness surrounding Anne's story suggests something more sinister. The Woman in White not only thrilled readers with its twists and turns, but also reflected Collins' fascination with themes of duality and hidden lives, a theme that runs through many of his works. The novel's blend of mystery and horror made it an instant classic, influencing both the sensation novel genre and the evolving landscape of Gothic fiction. Number 4. Nathaniel Hawthorne, The House of the Seven Gables, 1851. Nathaniel Hawthorne's The House of the Seven Gables is a Gothic tale that weaves together family curses, ancestral guilt, and supernatural elements, all centered around a decaying New England mansion. Published in 1851, the novel explores the dark history of the Pynchon family, whose past misdeeds cast a lingering shadow over their lives and home. But while the name Pynchon is shared with an actual family in Salem, Massachusetts, Hawthorne's characters were not directly based on these real-life residents. The story follows young Phoebe Pynchon, who arrives at the decaying mansion and breathes new life into its haunted walls, transforming it into a home once more. Her influence contrasts sharply with the legacy of Colonel Pynchon, a ruthless ancestor whose greed and ambition laid the foundation for the family's misfortune. Phoebe's relationship with Holgrave, a mysterious lodger and descendant of a man wronged by the Pynchons, reflects a chance for redemption as he seeks to avenge his ancestor and break the curse that haunts the family. Hawthorne's use of the Pynchon name didn't sit well with the real Pynchon descendants, who took issue with what they saw as a derisive portrayal. In response, Hawthorne initially offered to add a disclaimer and even change the name in future editions. However, his correspondence with what he called the Pynchon jackasses quickly grew tiresome, and he reportedly considered publishing the entire exchange out of sheer frustration. With its eerie atmosphere and themes of generational sin, The House of the Seven Gables remains a classic of American Gothic literature, reflecting Hawthorne's fascination with the lingering impact of ancestral guilt and the possibility of redemption. Number 3. Edgar Allan Poe, The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket, 1838. Edgar Allan Poe's only novel, The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket, is a harrowing sea adventure filled with shipwrecks, mutiny, and cannibalism, all wrapped in Poe's signature dark and unsettling style. Published in 1838, the story follows young Arthur Pym, who stows away on a whaling ship only to face one misfortune after another, including a struggle for survival that forces the crew to resort to cannibalism. But the most chilling aspect of this tale is how eerily prophetic it turned out to be. In one of the novel's most gruesome scenes, the crew, driven by hunger and desperation, draws lots to decide who will be sacrificed so that the others might live. The character chosen is named Richard Parker, a name that would later become part of a real-life tragedy with disturbing similarities. 50 years after Poe's novel was published, a man named Richard Parker, one of 4 shipwreck survivors, was indeed sacrificed and eaten by his fellow sailors after they'd exhausted all other means of survival. This bizarre case of life imitating art has haunted readers and added a sinister layer to Poe's already macabre tale. The novel also reflects Poe's fascination with themes of madness, isolation, and the unknown, creating a story that leaves readers with a sense of unease long after they finish the last page. While Arthur Gordon Pym wasn't as widely celebrated as some of Poe's short stories during his lifetime, it has since been recognized for its influence on later writers, including Jules Verne and H.P. Lovecraft. Number 2. Mary Shelley, Frankenstein, or The Modern Prometheus, 1818. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is one of the most iconic horror novels of all time, and its origins are just as legendary. During the summer of 1816, Shelley, along with her future husband, Percy Bysshe Shelley, and Lord Byron, gathered at a villa by Lake Geneva, passing the time by reading ghost stories from the book Phantasmagoriana. Inspired by these chilling tales, Byron challenged the group to each write a spooky story of their own. Out of this competition, Mary Shelley conceived the story that would become Frankenstein, or the modern Prometheus. Shelley's terrifying tale of Victor Frankenstein and his monstrous creation may have drawn from various influences, including Johann August Appel's Family Portraits and Friedrich August Schultz's The Corpse Bride, but it was also deeply rooted in her own imagination. In the preface to the 1831 edition, Shelley describes how she envisioned the monster. She saw the creature vividly in her mind's eye, in a manner reminiscent of the theatrical phantasmagoria effects popular at the time, which used eerie optical projections to thrill audiences. She recounts how, with her eyes closed, she imagined a pale student of unhallowed arts, kneeling beside the monstrous being he had assembled, watching in horror as it began to stir with a frightening semblance of life. Frankenstein delves into themes of unchecked ambition, isolation, and the consequences of playing God, issues that have resonated with readers for over 2 centuries. Shelley's novel not only pioneered the science fiction genre, but also laid the groundwork for the modern horror novel, establishing a legacy of fear and fascination that continues to this day. Number 1, Matthew Gregory Lewis, The Monk, 1796. Matthew Gregory Lewis's The Monk is a Gothic horror novel that dives unapologetically into the dark and forbidden, offering readers a sensational blend of horror, lust, and the supernatural. Published in 1796, the novel follows the tragic downfall of Ambrosio, a pious monk who succumbs to temptation and embarks on a path filled with corruption, devil worship, and murder. Nicknamed Monk Lewis for his controversial work, the author created a story that shocked contemporary readers and was banned for its explicit depictions of violence and sexuality. The inspiration for The Monk came from several sources, including the depraved acts described in the Marquis de Sade's Justine, which detailed unrestrained cruelty and immorality, as well as Lewis's observations of the bloodshed during the French Revolution. With a plot that spans themes of power, betrayal, seduction, and torture, Lewis pulls readers into a tale of moral corruption where innocence is destroyed and good intentions are quickly abandoned. Though condemned by critics as scandalous and depraved, The Monk captivated readers and has remained an influential work within the horror genre. Its depictions of religious hypocrisy, supernatural pacts, and forbidden passions laid the groundwork for countless Gothic novels that followed, cementing its place as one of the most provocative and influential horror novels of the 18th century. Thank you for listening to this exploration of early horror literature. These novels not only sent shivers down spines, but also revealed the complex and often tumultuous lives of their authors. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the eerie and enigmatic, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Next Chapter Audio for more fascinating literary journeys. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Did any backstory surprise you? Until next time, keep your candles burning and your pages turning.